Hey everyone, Robert Ferringo with Doc Sports here with your Monday opening line report. Be sure to check me out at www.docsports, that's docsports.com. This week, your Monday opening line report will be coming to you on Tuesday. I apologize, I wasn't able to get a video posted yesterday. My father was in town for his birthday. We spent the weekend at East Lake for the Tour Championship, big golf guy. Obviously, I did not get struck by lightning, so it was a successful weekend all around. So what we're going to do today, it's the first week of college football betting. I know we had a couple games last week in week 0 of the college football season. That was a little appetizer, but this week is the full smorgasbord. This is the real deal. As always, I will be releasing my football plays at 6 p.m. Eastern on docsports.com website. Be sure to go there and check that out at 6 p.m. Eastern every Thursday, basically from now through the Super Bowl. So for the next, 5 months, every Thursday I will have my picks out. Now, what I'm going to be doing this season is on Monday, we're going to take a look at the early lines and early line movements. All right, the books release the lines. Usually they have that soft open on Sunday night after most of the NFL games. The college games will be up usually Sunday morning, afternoon, but by Sunday night, we have the football lines for the following weekend. And then you get that early sharp money, you get some Monday morning bettors, and then usually within the first 24 or 36 hours, there's usually some interesting line movements. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about going forward throughout this season. So what's interesting about this week is that these spreads have been up for weeks, if not longer. Some of these games, like the Auburn-Oregon game, some of the more marquee non-conference games, these lines have been up for months. So bettors have had a chance to get down and really pick a side on most of these games. So what I want to do is just hammer through, look at some of the bigger line movements that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm recommending a play on one side or another. It's just that these are games that you should keep on your radar this weekend. Whether you like them or not, keep an eye on which way the line moved, why it moved, and we'll see if any patterns develop as the season goes on involving these teams. So, all right, the first one that we have is Thursday night, one of the opening night games, number 15 Utah at BYU, 10 o'clock. This game is really interesting. Okay, because it's a reverse line movement against a ranked team. This line opened at 6.5, despite the fact that a majority of the bets, almost 70% of the bets in this game, have come down on Utah. They're a Pac-12 favorite going into the season. They are ranked. BYU has been really sketchy, kind of up and down over the last 2 or 3 years, so you kind of don't know what you're going to get from them this season. But despite all of that, despite all of the hype and money coming in on Utah, this line has actually dropped from 6.5 to 5.5. That is significant. What else is significant to me about this game is that it's one of two kind of marquee games on opening night where we've seen a reverse line movement. The other game is the UCLA-Cincinnati game. Despite a majority of the betting coming in on the home team, Cincinnati, after UCLA's kind of disastrous season last year and Chip Kelly's rookie season with the program, that number has dropped from 4.5 to 2.5. So in the two biggest games of the night, and I say biggest games because they feature the two teams with the most brand recognition, name recognition, they're probably going to be two of the games with the biggest handles of the night. We're seeing some reverse line movement. In this Utah-BYU game, it's a rivalry game. So you got a home underdog in BYU. That's always going to be enticing to sharp bettors. And the underdog is 16-5 against the spread in the last 21 meetings between these two teams. That said, Utah has performed very well in the Holy War. They're 10-4 against the spread the last 14 years when playing against BYU, and the road team has covered 4 out of 5. So how those two reverse line movements end up playing out on Thursday is definitely going to be something that I'm paying attention to. All right, the next number we're looking at is Massachusetts at Rutgers, 7 p.m. on Friday. This game opened with Rutgers minus 11. It has been bet up to Rutgers minus 15.5. And I guess what's significant about this is, and this is a game that actually was on my radar. I expect Rutgers to be a little bit better this year, and I thought that early number was low. But it's interesting to me how much action has come in on Rutgers. This is a terrible football program. They have been bad for a long, long time, and they have been pathetic since joining the Big Ten. Despite that, 3 out of every 4 bets in this game is coming in on Rutgers. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Massachusetts is a fringe D1 program at best. However, who really trusts Rutgers to go out and paste someone and just lay it on another D1 program? Rutgers is the type of team that can lose to FCS opponents kind of on a whim, really. So I'm kind of surprised to see this number move as much as it has. We'll keep an eye out and see if Rutgers really has improved. They closed last season covering the spread in their last 5 games. They're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 August games, and they're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 home games. Massachusetts, they're 0-4 against the spread in August, 0-4 against the Big Ten. We'll see if those trends hold up. Another rivalry game that we have here, similar to that Utah-BYU game, this game is on Friday, and it's Colorado State-Colorado. Line open, Colorado -10, has been bet up to Colorado -13. Not really surprising with the overwhelming amount of money coming in on Colorado. Again, 75% of the bets and the action in that game are coming in on the Buffaloes. And why not? Colorado's covered 4 straight in this series, and Colorado State has really been one of the worst bets in college football over the last 2 years. They're 5-14 against the spread in their last 19 games overall. All right, Saturday's the big day. That's when we have most of the games going on this weekend, and we have plenty of line movements. The first one that jumped out is South Alabama at Nebraska. This number opened at Nebraska -32. It has since jumped up to -36.5. Not at all surprising. Nebraska is a team that's getting a lot of hype. They're expected to compete for the Big Ten title. Everyone likes Scott Frost and is interested to see what he's going to be able to do in year 2. Nebraska plays fast. They score a lot of points so they could turn out someone's lights. But this is also in keeping with a couple other games that have seen similar significant movements on big fat numbers like this, big fat spreads. And that's the Duke-Alabama game and the East Tennessee State-Michigan games. Both of those have seen their spreads move at least 4 points from their opening. And again, it's not surprising because if you're looking to bet this game, if you're looking to bet Nebraska, Alabama, Michigan, if you're looking to bet on the favorites here, you're doing it basically strictly out of name recognition. And whether this spread is 32.5, 33.5, 34, it's not going to dissuade you. You're not really playing the number, you're playing the situation. The books know that, so what they want to do is get that spread up over 35. I will be stunned if any of these 3 games that we're talking about have a spread that's less than 35 by kickoff. They know that you're not playing the number, you're just playing the name. They want to get that spread over 5 touchdowns. They want to keep those teasers over 4 touchdowns. So the books are really just trying to get out ahead of the squares and the public on this one. All right, another interesting line movement is East Carolina, NC State. This is another noon game. And what jumped out at me at this one is that this is one of the few games where we have a Big 5 conference team playing a mid-major conference team, and the majority of the action is coming in on the mid-major team. East Carolina has taken 70% of the action on this game. As such, it has driven the number down. Now, there was a time about a decade ago where East Carolina, they were a threat to win a game like this. They have a long history of pulling early season upsets over ACC teams. But that was several coaches and kind of a long time ago. East Carolina has been really pathetic at the window over the last 5 years. They're 16-40 against the spread. I'm going to repeat that. East Carolina football is 16-40 against the spread in their last 56 games. They're 7-20 against the spread on the road, and they're 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 non-conference games. So I'm not sure what people are seeing here. I don't really like NC State that much this year. I think that they're definitely going to take a step back. But if this number starts approaching, if it keeps going down and starts approaching 2 touchdowns, 14, 14.5, gets in that range, I think you got to look NC State. I don't like them this year, but East Carolina, again, they're not a team that I necessarily trust, and they don't have the same talent level as an NC State team. All right, moving on. We got Missouri at Wyoming, 7:30 on Saturday. This one opened Missouri -14. It is now Missouri -17.5. That's on the road Not at all surprising. This is one of the most lopsided games of the weekend in terms of betting action. 88% of the bets on this game have come in on Missouri. That's why we've seen it leave one relatively key number of a 2-touchdown spread, getting it over 17 points to 17.5. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one hit 18.5 or 19 by kickoff. Wyoming, there's not really much to like. Missouri is a team that's getting a little bit of buzz. Coming out of the SEC, Kelly Bryant is eligible. They're still waiting to hear about their bowl ban, which is something that I think is going to have a big impact on the psyche of this team. But since it hasn't been announced, these guys are still going to be hyped up. They're the number 26 team in the country. Basically, the top 25 came out, and they were the first team outside of the top 25. So a lot of bettors liking Missouri in this one. We're going to see this number continue to move. And the last game that we are going to look at is Oregon versus Auburn. This is one of the most significant games of the weekend, one of the most significant non-conference games of the year, to be completely honest with you. Oregon is a legitimate threat with their roster, with their experience, with their talent. They are a legitimate threat to make it to the college football playoffs. They can't do that if they lose this game. Even if they run the table in the Pac-12, if they lose this game to Auburn, a team that is not going to win the SEC, then Oregon will not make it into the college football playoffs. However, if they do pick up an SEC scalp here, then that's going to be a huge chip. That can maybe offset a loss somewhere along the line in the Pac-12. We'll have to see about that, and it'll be determined by how everyone else in the country does also, but this is really a tone-setter game. We saw Auburn play in a very similar game to this last year against Washington. Washington, Pac-12 favorite, dark horse national title contender, and Auburn won that game. They won that game outright. So despite that, I was still surprised to see Auburn installed as the favorite in this game. This game opened it with Auburn minus 6.5. It has since been bet down to Auburn minus 3. That's kind of where I figured that the number would open up. Again, Oregon. They have the Heisman Trophy candidate. They got a lot of hype. They got a lot of experience, a lot of returning starters. They got a lot to like. This is, again, going to be probably one of the best games of the weekend, and because it's a nighttime, marquee, nationally televised game, it's going to have a really big handle. So it's going to be interesting to see if that line moves any more than it has, even though it's already been cut in half. So that's it. That's our Monday opening line movements report. I'll come up with a better name for it down the road, even though, again, our Monday line report on Tuesday. So you'll have to forgive me for that. Make sure you check me out at DocSports.com. Like I said, I'm very excited about this upcoming college football season. I'm going for my 4th straight winning overall football season. I have averaged plus 4,400 in football profit over the last 9 years. There's not a single handicapper anywhere in the country that can match those long-term numbers. So, looking forward to getting this season started with a big, big opening weekend. Make sure to check back for my daily free pick videos and my articles at Doc Sports. So, in the meantime, enjoy your day, carpe diem, and good luck.